Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to HemingwayLand.com, your source for quality, affordable land in the state of Colorado. Oh, people, we've got a good one this week. As you can see from the headline, riverfront lot, a riverfront property. It's got power, it's got underground utilities in very close proximity to the property boundaries which, by the way, have already been pre-staked and surveyed, which means you don't have to pay for them. Additionally, the things not mentioned here in the headline is that there is no HOA, no annual dues, no covenants, no restrictions, and no time limit to build on this land. Ergo, it is yours to do with as you please. And did I mention it sits next to a river? This one's a good one, guys, so get excited. This is reference number CJCO-1051, located in Conejos County, Colorado, our very first property in Conejos County. This one sits specifically in the Alamosa River Estates, and it is a .20 acre property. People, let's be specific. It is not 20 acres. It is 1/5 of 1 acre. Okay, so just so there's no confusion about that. As you saw up top, this one is priced at $15,000, and if you think that's a lot of money for a 1/5 of 1 acre property, I don't generally disagree with that. That being said, property values down here in this county are a lot higher on a price per acre basis. Additionally, guys, it backs up to a river. Anyway, with all that said, we got GPS coordinates down here. Let's bring this one up on a map by clicking any one of these. 4 corner points in the center. Ba-boom, Google Maps shall appear here in a new window. So, for those of you not familiar with the geography of the state of Colorado, but you know Denver. Denver's up here. The subject property is nowhere close to Denver. Denver is roughly about a 4+ hour drive away, something like that. That being said, the property is down here in south central Colorado. Of course, there are many towns and many attractions in between and many in close proximity to the property. Before I talk about Colorado, I will quickly point out that this county backs up to the New Mexico border, so you actually are not too far away from nearby Taos down here, a little over an hour away, hour 15, something like that, as well as the world-famous Taos Ski Valley down here as well. But as we go back up into Colorado, you can see that the subject property sits in close proximity to some major towns out here like Walsenburg, Trinidad, and as we move west, we've got Fort Garland over here. We've got Lajara down here, Monte Vista to the north. And then if we kind of wrap around the mountain here, you've got Del Norte and South Fork over here to Pagosa Springs, so on and so forth. It's worth noting, guys, that down here in this portion of the state, like much of Colorado, there's a lot to see and do, a lot of great outdoor attractions. All of the green on the map kind of belies the fact that you've got a lot of great national forest out here, specifically the Rio Grande National Forest, the San Juan National Forest, with hundreds of thousands of acres to hunt, hike, camp, climb, picnic, what have you. Additionally, in very close proximity to the property, it's worth noting that you have the Lajara Reservoir right here. You also have the Terrace Reservoir up here. And also pretty close by in nearby Alamosa County, you have the Monte Vista National Wildlife Refuge. You also have the Alamosa National Wildlife Refuge over here. And, of course, the 2 major attractions, you've got Zapata Falls up here and Great Sand Dunes National Park. Now, people, let me quickly say this. If I went through too fast through all of that, you should know that up here under the property specific notes, one of the last bullet points we have kind of discusses all of the points of interest, all the nearby attractions that I just went through. Most notably, I want to point out the Terrace Reservoir and the Lajara Reservoir is closest to the property. If you click on those links, it'll take you to their respective Colorado Parks and Wildlife websites, where you can learn more about these regions as well as how to get permitted for hunting out here. And all of the sort of paperwork and hoops that you have to jump through to do that. FYI. Back to the map for a second, guys. So, as noted, Great Sand Dunes National Park up here. Let's talk about towns that are close by. In close proximity to the subject property are the towns of Capullin and Lajara. These, however, are kind of small towns. You're going to have easy access. They are roughly about 5 and 10 minutes, respectively, away from the property. You'll have easy access to things like mom-and-pop grocery stores, gas stations, post offices, a church or two. But if you're looking for the nearest major town where you might go from this property to get building supplies, to get bulk supplies of groceries, nearest hospital, things like that, that's going to be over here in Alamosa, roughly about 30 minutes from the subject property here, up along the 285. Do we have photos of Alamosa? You bet we do, people. Ba-boom. All right, so town of Alamosa has roughly a population of about 9,500 people. As you can see out here, government offices, aforementioned hospital that I mentioned, medical services in general are readily available out here. In addition, as always, guys, we like to point out the nearest Walmart in close proximity to the subject property is out here. Everybody always wants to know where the nearest Walmart is. This is it here in Alamosa. Additionally, Tractor Supply companies out here, as well as a number of building and supply stores. If you buy the property we're talking about today and you intend to build on it, most likely you're going to be taking a drive out here to purchase some, I don't know what, hammers and nails, let's say. Anyway, nearby grocery store, and then, of course, the thriving downtown of Alamosa, bars, restaurants, nightlife, so on and so forth. Back to the map for just a second, guys. As noted, I mentioned earlier all the attractions that are in this region. Great Sand Dunes National Park. We've also got photos here in the gallery just because this is such an iconic sort of southern Colorado attraction out here. Largest sand dunes in North America, I believe, is the specific claim to fame. Whatever the case, of course, there's a lot to do out here besides just sort of hiking and photography, sand sledding, sand skiing, sand surfing, whatever people do. I don't know. Whatever people do in the sand, you could do out here. Plenty of opportunity for that. You get the point. Anyway, plenty of nice photos from the park in the photo gallery that you can explore as well. Let's talk about property specifics, guys. So, as noted, the subject property sits down here in the Alamosa River Estates subdivision. Now, this is not really well detailed here on Google Maps, but it kind of goes from this road Z down here up to this road A up here. It is this region in here. If we go to satellite view, you can kind of see it carved out a little bit on the map. There are some home sites sprinkled out throughout the subdivision, but most of them are focused up here close to the river on the northern side of the river. Now, I just want to show you guys here in the photo gallery, as always, we have the Google Earth satellite representation, the footprint of the property, and of course, so you all know that we're not just making up random geometric shapes, we also have the plat map up here, which shows exactly where the property is. It sits up here in the northern part of the subdivision, and then we got the zoomed in view so you can get a sense of the exact dimensions of the subject property. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, back here. So, let's talk about this for a minute. So, as noted, guys, I referenced earlier, no covenants, no restrictions, no HOA, no annual dues. You've got a lot of people who have constructed home sites out here, or not a lot, but there's a few. And those home sites vary. There is quite a bit of difference between them. Point being, this kind of property can be used for just sort of RV, camping, recreational purposes. Can also be used to do things like build a conventional SFR, single-family residence, as well as some non-conventional, non-traditional things that you can't build in other places. Shipping container homes, tiny homes, yurts, whatever your heart desires, you can probably do out here. What you will see from some of the neighbors' homes that I'm going to show you in the photo gallery is that there's kind of a wide variety of different structures out here. Anyway, let me quickly point out that the property sits right here at the end of Prairie Wind Lane. This is Prairie Wind, even though it's not labeled that way on the map. That is what it is actually called. And nearby power is roughly about 500 feet away. This is the utility easement right here. Subject property over here. I'll get back to that in just a second. Whatever the case, guys, let's go to the property-specific photos. As noted, photos of Alamosa, photo of the Great Sand Dunes National Park, and then we are down here to some of the aforementioned home sites that sit in this region. So this would be, I think, a good example of a respectable SFR, single-family residence, that sits in very close proximity to the property. And this one is a log cabin. This one also looks pretty nice. A nice log cabin home out here. The point of me kind of illustrating, contrasting between these two is that you get a sense of a lack of aesthetic uniformity out here. So that's certainly the kind of thing you find when there are no covenants, no restrictions, no sort of architectural control committee demanding you have to build it to these specifications, height, size, general paint swatch, color palette type thing. Anyway, additionally, we've also got something like this. Now, I don't know if this is currently inhabited, but it looks like it was at one point. Somebody built a train car out here and started living out of a train car. So yeah, so the point is that what you get from this is that you can do you've got a lot of choices that you can make out here as far as potential home sites. And these are some of your neighbors out here. We got horses. One of the nearby properties has horses. Anyway, guys, so these are the nearby power lines, roughly about 500 feet from the subject property, and these are the underground utilities. So just to be clear, Both of these things sit up here by some of these developed home sites, as noted, roughly about 500 feet from the subject property. I think it's actually a scooch less to that power pole. 435 feet. Point being, there are power lines out here, specifically in this northern part of the subdivision, servicing nearby home sites, so likely not difficult to get extended out to the subject property. Power companies come out here before and done it a number of times, and this extension would be 500 feet, so what is that, maybe 3-4 poles, something like that? Whatever the case, we'll return to that in just a bit, but underground utilities are also located up here. Anyway, back to the photo galleries, guys. So, first thing, this is the subject property here looking up at some of these nearby home sites that we just illustrated. And these are the roads. This is Prairie Wind Lane Road. So our photographer indicated the road's a little tough, might need a larger truck or off-road capable vehicle, may not be easily navigated by every vehicle that's out there, particularly after inclement weather, rain, snow, things like that. But overall, fairly well-maintained road, not difficult to approach in off-road capable vehicle, larger truck, etc. You can also see one of the aforementioned property boundary markers right here. It's also in this photo, and then we start to label them here. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. Point being that the property has already been staked and surveyed at some point in the past, not by our company, to be clear, but at some point in the past. So if you decide to purchase this property and build on it, your boundary lines will already be clearly dictated for you, and most importantly, you'll not have to spend a lot of money trying to get a survey or waiting months and months and months for somebody to come out and survey the property. We had actually called around trying to find out survey estimates of how long it would take to get somebody out there, and the fastest quote we got was 4 months, which seems... Anyway, I'll just say that. 4 months was the fastest somebody could get out there. So the point is, you won't have to deal with that. Anyway, a nice, lush, green property, much more so than what we typically list. Of course, it sits right next to the river, so that, you know, a lot of water out here, a lot of vegetation growing on the land, some nice trees, etc. And also, it just looks like a very pretty region out here. You can see kind of the hillsides in the back, the trees, just really a nice, pretty property. And of course, as we go through these, we will eventually come to some photos of the river. This is what I'm talking about. This looks like a really, really nice country out here. Hey, there we go, the river. Anyway, so yeah, the Alamosa River is the one that borders the subject property. This is normally the part of the video where I mask a Google search and pretend that I actually know something about fishing, but I feel like it's always a transparent effort. I feel like you can all hear in my voice that I've never actually been outdoors or done anything like fishing. So my guess is if you're into fishing, you probably know what's already available in this river. If you are not, you too could do a Google search. Whatever the case, it's a river, it's got fish, knock yourself out. Anyway, I will let you guys peruse the photos on your own time. I do, however, just want to wrap up by pointing out final photos in the gallery, of course, of the drone overheads where you can see the subject property over here backing up to the Alamosa River. And, of course, we've got the little dotted line outline of where exactly that property's at. I should quickly mention, guys, the property has a bit of a slope to it from the road down to the river, so higher end of the property is up here by the road. That being said, it's a very minor, pronounced slope. It's not, you know, it's not a very hilly property. Anyway, guys, with all that said, that's the photo gallery. We will also have a drone video down here to give you an even better sense of the property, the terrain, the surroundings. I'd encourage you to review that on your own time. Finally, guys, I just want to talk about what we were kind of mentioning earlier about no HOA. So up here under the property specific notes, we talk about it here. Alamosa River Estates subdivision was first, when it was first subdivided, they had covenants and they had restrictions. So I don't want to say that there were none ever recorded. There were some recorded. But within those covenants and restrictions was a sort of set expiration date. They were recorded in 1969 and enumerated within the covenants is that 25 years later, those covenants were set to expire unless kept by a vote of land and homeowners in the region. Anyway, suffice to say, they were not kept by the land and homeowners in the region, which is why we say there are no covenants and restrictions. As noted, also no HOA, no annual dues. So you will be able to do more out here on this property than you would find elsewhere. Additionally, guys, also up here in the property specific notes, we have the local utility company, San Luis Valley Rural Electric Co-op. If you click that link, it's going to take you to their website. Of course, if you are looking at developing this property, having a home site out here, getting power extended to the property, if you're not going to go the route of solar, it is always wise to reach out to the local utility company in advance and ask them basically about cost and logistics. What is it going to take to get power extended 500 feet to the property? You guys have already got some lines out there. What is that going to cost me? What do I need to know? All good questions to ask in advance. Additionally, guys, I also want to point out to you here under the property specific notes that we also have some notation here just about the water table in this region. Colorado Division of Water Resources logs the well depth of the 5 wells nearest this property between 46 and 80 feet. I have covered this in other videos. I don't really feel a huge need to do it here because the property sits next to water, so we can all assume that the water table is fairly accessible. If, however, you don't believe me and you want to check that yourself, you can click this link. It's going to take you to the well permitting portion of the Colorado Division of Water Resources website. Come over here, click the well permit map viewer, and very slowly the map of Colorado will appear in the window here. I'm going to pause the video for just a moment. Anyway, in the video, if you zoom in on Conejos County and down here by Capulan and then kind of eyeball it, work your way up here to the Alamosa River Estates region, you can see, Prairie Wind Lane is actually labeled on a map, number 1. And come up here and just click the well application and the final permit. And up on the map will appear some green dots. These green dots are, of course, of wells that exist in the region or have been permitted in the region. And as you click on these, you can see what the well depth is. 46 feet for this one, 80 feet for that one. This one doesn't indicate it, so my guess is it doesn't exist yet. It's just been permitted. This one, 59 feet. Point is, very easily accessible water table, and of course, this subject property is very close, backs up to the Alamosa River, so it will probably be even less expensive and less logistically complex for the owner of this property. Anyway, guys, with all that said, if you're interested in purchasing this piece of land right here, you should know that we closed on this through Menke Abstract Title Company. So we did get title insurance, which means we will be providing you with a warranty deed. If you come up here and click the Buy Now button, it will take you to the secure checkout page where we will ask for a non-refundable, people, let me be clear, non-refundable earnest money deposit of $500. That $500 is meant to kick off the process. You're purchasing a $15,000 property. You are purchasing it in full for cash, but the $500 is the way that we begin the process. We ask you for the name you want on the deed, some contact information, tax address, etc. Agree to the terms of service, and on the very next page, you can enter credit or debit card information to place that non-refundable $500 earnest money deposit. For the record, guys, when we get into this price range, this $15,000 price range, I assume that you too would want title insurance on the property. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Whatever the case, the way that process works is enumerated more on our How It Works Buying From Us page. If you click on that, you can kind of read about this, the different ways in which we can close on and ultimately convey a property to you. This one down here in this price range of $10,000 plus is what we recommend. Title and escrow. Of course, the title company is a third-party intermediary, handles the drafting of the conveyance documents. They handle the disbursement of the funds. So the benefit to you, the buyer, besides the title insurance, is that, of course, you're not handing somebody on the internet $15,000 directly. You've got this third-party intermediary, number 1. And the additional peace of mind that comes with that ultimately is the benefit here. Whatever the case, guys, the way that this works, you place the non-refundable $500 earnest money deposit. We draft a contract, we sign it, you sign it, we submit it to the title company, and they do the rest. And in case you would like to see what a copy of one of those contracts looks like, if you click this link right here, bring it up in this window. Of course, a generic version of one of our standard contracts. Very easy to read, easy to understand. One page for signatures. Title company will not do anything without a signed contract from buyer and seller demonstrating intent, and we do not write these contracts until we have the $500 earnest money deposit. Anyway, we can close through title and escrow, guys, or if you prefer, we can draft the new conveyance documents and we can get it recorded for you, and you can fund this directly with a wire transfer or a credit card payment or a cashier's check, whichever you prefer. Anyway, guys, with all that said, really nice property. Very happy to have some riverfront property here on the website. And, of course, all the other benefits that come with this one, specifically the what we'll call lack of restriction in this region. A real benefit to whoever picks this one up. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.